welcome to a brief introduction of Talend MDM for a practice run of the Gardener analyst briefing on the MDM customer magic quadrant. Today we're going to take a look at account data going into the Talend MDM system. We have data in three different sources called 1A for a file legacy system, Salesforce.com, as well as CRM. This is a data quality portal for data governance with the MDM to help monitor and track your data quality within the MDM system, as well as help you understand data issues before as well as after the data is in the MDM. So these reports here, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, have some good information up front about key pieces of data that need to be loaded and cleansed before putting into the MDM, such as here's a report on my postal codes and the pattern frequencies that I'm seeing. I have a lot of different 5 9s, which is good. I have 9 digits, which is also good, but then I have some in between, which means I need to do some cleansing and address standardization using our data quality toolset. I can also do pattern checks, for example, against U.S. postal codes to find out how many actually match a valid postal code. That could be 5 digits or 9 digits, 9 digits with a space or 9 digits with a dash. It takes all that into effect, and what I see is I have 51% of the data do not match a U.S. zip code. For another example, I have country codes here. I can see I have some as ISO code 3 probably, some as well as maybe ISO code 2, but I also have 41% or 41 of them have been spelled out. So I definitely have some address validation issues that I need to resolve. So if I go into our studio, this is a Eclipse-based tool that is used to do all of the configuration and development across the entire unified platform. This is what is where we build our data model that you want to build and deploy for your different domains. You can master any domain. Here we're looking at account, or we could have customer as well. If you already have a model that you want, you can simply import it as an XSD. If you can export it from your modeling tool as an XSD, you can then import it and build from there, enhance and enrich your model, so you're not starting from scratch. You can build data types, complex and simple, that allow you to build standard data types across all your attributes and domains. For example, address and person. Maybe something you want to represent the same across all your domains. It would only make sense that you've come up with standards and governance for those types of data elements. You can also enforce types, data types such as male, female for gender and things like that, auto sequences and whatever. And then once you have those, you can assign them to your data model. For example, contact information in account is actually a person type, so that same with customer, if I were to look at the customer, it would also have a person type assigned to it, so that now I'm representing people the same across all my master domains to help build and enforce standards. You can put all types of rules in here. You can assign workflow capabilities, write, read, access, everything within the MDM down to the views and attribute levels are access, role-based controlled access. So very flexible and very tight access control for these things. You can go into the data integration perspective and start building processes that will cleanse the data, that you understand the issues from your profiling and data quality tools that we provide in the MDM platform. And using the data integration tools, you can start putting in loading processes that cleanse, for example, data dictionaries that do ISO code 3 from any type of recognizable country, whether it's spelled out, ISO 2, ISO 3, it all comes out as ISO code 3. And then I send it through our Google address tool. We have several different address cleansing tools out here. For example, we use out of the box, we have Melissa Data, QAS, Uniserve, and Locate, as well as there's others out on the exchange that you could pull in and use in this process, as well as in the web UI, which I'll show you in a minute. And then once you have your data cleansed, that's when you want to start looking at the matching process and start really understanding and tweaking the matching. We have several different components. The primary one is called T-Match Group, where you start putting these together and seeing Then you start using the match group to see the data. So we open up the T-match group and start tweaking or playing with the matching algorithms. So what this shows me is how my data is matching with the current attributes that I've selected, as well as the matching types, and then the confidence weight that I've put on them. I can change these and hit refresh and see how it's affecting this sample set of data. So just by changing and putting more confidence on my phone number, I've broken a lot of different groups out. So I no longer have so many groups of 2 and only one group of 1. And the rest have become single records, not matching to anything else. So this is the way that we give our developers and analysts, the users, the ability to really hone in on their matching data. So taking a set of sample records that are really representative of any type of problem records that you want to match or not match, and start using this tool to get there as a result. Once you have this type of data, your results can go to 3 different places. You could have uniques, which would naturally go right into your MDM. Any duplicates that meet a certain threshold would go directly through what we call an auto survivorship and load into the MDM as using business rules to uniquely dedupe the data and come up with that golden record. And then anything that falls within a threshold between a high and medium threshold or high and low threshold, you would send to a review process, which is in the MDM called Data Stewardship Council for manual review. So here's the data represented in the data model that I showed you in the Development Studio tool, represented in the web UI. It's very easy and fast to deploy this out to the web UI so that you can quickly build out your domains and see how they affect or can look and start managing your data. I have, in this particular model, I have the ability to add multiple locations. I'm tracking my sources in which the data came from. So it's very flexible. I have enriched data through sales territory information. And then I want to start reviewing my duplicates. So this is the Data Stewardship Council. It has many tasks loaded into it. 2 different types of tasks that we give users, data types or resolution types. I want to look at resolution types for account duplicates. I can simply search through these tags over here on the right. So I'm now looking at just account duplicates. And in this particular view, I have data from Salesforce.com, CRM, and A1. So maybe I want to take all the data from my file system because it has the most complete set of data. I can use any other set of data from any other source that I want by clicking on it, or I can type over the data in what we call the target, and this is what goes into the MDM. So once this data has been created for a manual resolution, you simply save and close, and once it goes into a resolve state, here is XYZ in a resolve state, the data will then be loaded back into the MDM. So, or not back, but into the MDM. We have a lot of different searching capabilities. For example, we have full search, text search across all the data source entities and domains within this hub that I have access to. So if I do XYZ search, and I spell XYZ correctly in the search, XYZ, I will see the account has been loaded. The account ID is 6217. So by clicking on this, I can go right into the account and see XYZ has been loaded into my MDM. There's a lot of different ways of searching for data. You can also search through here. So for example, Talend, you can search through this web tool or UI and find anything that's related to Talend. These are 2 different records because they have 2 different locations. One's in Los Altos, California, and the other one looks like it is in Irvine, California. So within the web UI, we can store logos or pictures of accounts and companies and customers if you need, or products for the product domain. Very simple to add pictures. You can enforce data governance processes such as phone number validations and address validations, which I'll show later. So if I add a phone number here, you'll see that once I save this, it's going to run a process in the background using our data quality tools to validate that this is an invalid phone number. It could be too many digits, not enough digits, or invalid prefix on the phone number, such as this case. So 222 is not a valid prefix. So simply update it and hit save, and it will automatically format and set the DID phone number to the correct format. I've also enriched the data during loading process with sales territory information, so I can track hierarchies within my accounts or any other type of data. If I want to see the accounts within the hierarchy, I can go to Browse Data and Hierarchy Explorer. Within here, I have two different types of hierarchies I'm showing. Here's a full self-recursive, so this is the sales hierarchy within a single entity or domain within my MDM that I'm tracking. I have 4 different regions under my global D-Star corporation, and then each region has its own sub-regions. So you can expand those and see how the data looks. If I want to apply that hierarchy to my account data, because I've enriched it during the loading process, I can now see how my accounts align to the different regions. If I want to move an account to another region through this view, I can do that once it's loaded. So simply drag and drop from the Midwest to the East, and now Showbiz Pizza is part of the Midwest. If I click on that, it'll represent it here in this view. So there's a lot of different functionality that you can achieve with hierarchy management in the MDM tool itself as well. If you want to provide data governance processes within your MDM, Talend allows you to do that as well using a full BPM process solution embedded with your MDM. So in this example, we're going to log in as Frank. Frank has a diminished set of rules and access for his role. He can only see accounts, he can't see the locations, he can't see any other type of information other than strictly accounts. We're going to go to XYZ. If you look at his account information here, you can see that Frank only has access to certain attributes to change. He can't change the company name or the priority status or industry or anything like that. So you give Frank certain processes which are part of the business process management. So he's going to request XYZ to have a name change. So we go into the workflow tasks and we open up the workflow for XYZ that he submitted. He's going to want ABC. Maybe there's a merger between XYZ and ABC, and he is in charge of merger and acquisitions. So we simply submit this request, and it will go off to Jennifer, which is the general manager who is responsible for approving these types of things. It could be tied to reporting. You don't want to change company names on a whim because there's reports names tied to the company name and other key pieces of information. So let's log out, and we log back in as Jennifer, and we'll have tasks waiting for her as she comes to the welcome screen. So if we go ahead and open the task view, we'll see right away here's ABC XYZ merger and the reason. So she can approve or reject this. She's going to go ahead and approve this request. Up here at the top, you can see who requested it. Frank was the original requester. When he did it, the whole breadcrumb trail for the workflow itself. Once it's done, we can go in right to the record and we see ABC XYZ has a new name on it. It's been updated. You can track the full audit records, so we can see that XYZ was created through our Data Stewardship Council process. We can see Frank did some requests through workflow, and Jennifer approved requests. You can go into our journal and see what was changed through the workflow request as well. Once you have these capabilities put in place, you have now enforced data governance policies and standards on your data. So last thing we want to talk about is some easy synchronization capabilities between the MDM using our ESB technology. So all these changes that I've been showing you through workflow and through the web UI, you can easily find these types of changes and synchronize them out to any other applications using the event management back-end processes on the MDM and couple those with our ESB. For example, when records change in our MDM, you can publish those IDs out to the queue and then use the ESB and our native MDM components to then feed that information out to other systems. The beauty of that are some of our MDM native components allow you to have different views of the MDM as it's being pulled from our MDM hub. So in cases of compliance like HIPAA regulations and you're sending data to a HIPAA system versus a non-HIPAA system, you could have two different views, and it's very fast and easy to build those views and show the data within those views, or have the data represented in different views as it's coming out of the MDM hub just by using our native integration components on our MDM. Very fast and easy to build and use. So we're going to take XYZ, ABC, and we're going to find that particular record in Salesforce.com. If we go back, refresh this view, we're going to go in and we're going to go find XYZ. It already has ABC Inc. Added in it. We can see that 6217 is the enterprise MDM ID. For demo purposes, we put the account MDM ID in Salesforce just to show that we are keeping them in sync. Maybe I want to change this from low to medium to provide more marketing capabilities or enhancements. So once I hit save, a message is being published out to an ActiveMQ. The ESB, Talend's ESB runtime, is picking that message up, querying all the data from our system and publishing it out to the corresponding applications such as Salesforce, as well as a CRM database in the background too. So we can do this with multiple types of information. Maybe I want to add another shipping location to this, but I want to create a new shipping address. So simply create and go in here, and we're going to add shipping XYZ. Shipping is going to be the name of this. I'm going to leave the address lines blank. I'll put in some slightly messed up data for the city and state. I'm going to put the zip code where the state goes, and I'm just going to put W. And once I save this, there's also address validation happening real time on the web UI that's going to enrich this data and validate it. So here it knows that it's Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, zip code, and latitude and longitude, so I can get things like address, Google. I have validation status, so I have a process running in the background that tells me that this is not a complete address. I don't have an address line. So you can have multiple ways of viewing this information. For example, you can have a custom view that just shows missing data. So here's the XYZ shipping. I have a what we call smart view, show some customizations that you can do within the MDM. I can drill down and see the actual application fields and see that I'm missing data here. I could also have this data published out to the Data Stewardship Council, where a person may have to go in and review the data and fix it. Again, this is where some tags might be helpful. Maybe I want to look by state. I want to find anything that's in Wisconsin. I can see that this particular record is the only one in Wisconsin. So if I add a valid address in here and go ahead and save this and commit it, it will get updated to the MDM because now it's in a resolved state. I go back, I can refresh this view here. I have to refresh this exact record because it will no longer be in this view because it's a valid record now. If I go back into my accounts, I can now go to the XYZ account and fix or add that as a valid address to XYZ as a new location. So I want to add one. I want to search for the one I just added. I could just type shipping in here. Maybe I don't have a lot of shipping addresses, which I don't. So now I've added a multiple additional location into my web UI. I've enforced address validation standardization as well as data governance to assure that all my key address attributes are populated, shown data governance within the MDM to enforce that, and then using the ESB technology I will have the new address for shipping loaded in here. So I have both my billing as well as my shipping address put into the MDM. So with that, it completes the full demonstration of loading data, consolidating data, resolving duplicates into the MDM system, and using data governance and data quality techniques to keep your data in a trusted state.